if you're wanting something to be bullish on Quant, or for instance, you're like thinking about DCAing, I mean, I can't give you financial advice, but just hear me out on this. This is really, really something. So if you're just tuning in, big news in regards to Quant. Breaking after 2+ years of work and deliberation, Secure Asset Transfer Protocol, which is SATP, is now an official working group with the IETF. Now, who is the IETF? Well, they are the Internet Engineering Task Force. They make the internet work better. All right. With that said, it's a huge step for the role of API gateways in standardizing digital asset interoperability. Let's just add another layer to everything else that Quant has when it comes to payment APIs and all these other particular things, preparing for March. But in reality, with Quant, is it really preparing for March, or are we really, really preparing for June in this case? I think it's a combination of both. Let's get more into this. We'll blow it up. So you have this, and was mentioned earlier today, the post, I should say. A new IETF, says WG, has been formed in the applications in real-time area. For additional information, please contact the area directors or the WG chairs, Secure Asset Transfer Protocol. It gives you an idea of how this is all going. And if anything, look at this. Here it is on data tracker from the IETF, Secure Asset Transfer Protocol. And you see how some of this is already being utilized. You have that document charter. You have this literally being used, implemented, talking about some of that utility. Approved and active. Yeah, approved and active. Really, really impressive to see this. Some people are like already like, oh yeah, baby. Shout out to 1E Frankie, who watches our show on the recorded and the live. Really active in the community. Glad to see it, Frankie. But you know, this is pretty cool stuff, because now we're having a broader idea when it comes to just, again, more of these API gateways. We really understood what Quant brought to the table for APIs with the Overledger and so on. Now, when people were trying to FUD it in the past, like, oh, if I don't see anything, then they don't really got it. You know, what I call like, you know, being, how instead of, this is a funny analogy, you know, Quant is blockchain agnostic. So they're like being, you know, like Overledger atheistic. I'm not making fun of atheist people, but you know what I mean? It's just like they just tunnel vision. If I don't see it before my eyes, it's not there. We have a little bit more in regards to that. So for the longest time, I was talking about, and I gave an outline for months now, especially if you guys have been, you know, there's quite a few guys who just joined us in regards to coming from, you know, Quant recorded to the live and so on. But I have been outlining for months that Quant connection to CBDCs, and specifically when it comes to the digital pound and what we're doing here in the United States. And when some people said, no, that's not the case, unless I see it in writing or see something solid, this is all speculative. Oh, I hope some of those people are here tonight. I hope you guys are here tonight, because when you see some of this, you're going to be like, oh, God, I'm going to have to come up with some ELBT FUD, because I'm going to have to leave Max alone with FUDing the Quant. Yeah, exactly. History is being made when it comes to the likes of Quant. Let's get into it. A little bit more reiteration about this whole thing with IETF data tracker. So it states, the goal of the Secure Asset Transfer Protocol working group will be to develop a standard protocol which operates what? Between two peer gateways for the purpose of transferring digital assets between an originator and their origin network to a beneficiary in a destination network. Now listen to this. The resulting protocol shall be agnostic with respect to the type of asset being transferred, problem space, and architecture. To begin addressing these challenges, boom, SATP will employ the gateway paradigm as a means for digital assets to be moved from one network to another through a standardized asset transfer protocol implemented between peer gateways. Everybody's saying that Quant doesn't do anything in regards to helping out with payments. please. Each gateway represents one digital asset network, and SATP allows gateways to perform a voluntary transfer of digital assets from the origin network to a destination network in such a way that evidence of the transfer can be verified by a third-party audit in the case of disputes. There's a little bit more in regards to this. So if you're just tuning in, please, all I ask, hit the smash that like button, because I am going to give you the juicy stuff that you've been waiting for a while. A little bit more. Shout out to Philosophical Carrot. What a name. SATP is now baptized. I don't know if I want to use that particular expression because I don't like blasphemy, as an IETF working group. But hear me out. This is a good point, right? Maybe BSV does this. Shout out to Cool Cat Crypto. I don't know if he's watching tonight. I know a lot of times he's not here on a Friday night. Does your favorite crypto project come with a free TCP IP-esque standardization add-on? I know Cool Cat mentions BSV has TCP IP, so maybe that. But it states an interoperability solution provider that doesn't embed global protocol standardization isn't truly solving interoperability. It is not. What does Quant? Booyashaka. Now look at this. Look at this. Here is some of the actual protocol being used. Look at this. And it's recent, guys. As of what today? As we know, today is the 3rd of February, 2023. Look at the timestamps. Speaks for itself. Now, for some of you guys that don't understand this, you may think, well, what's the significance? We'll get a little bit more into this. The significance is, for the longest time, I talked about, for instance, the CBDC connection to Quant, where you redrew the connections. Talked about Project Hamilton, said, here's what's going on in Project Hamilton. There was a guy in the comments that said, well, until I see it written, I haven't seen Jack Diddley squat. Well, guess what? Here's the icing on the cake here in just a brief moment before we kick it back into the comments. CBDC projects pump in 2023. Crypto folks not thrilled, but if we have invested in the right projects, we don't have to sit on the sidelines. Despite the market downturn in 2022, central bank digital currencies projects around the world did not hibernate, albeit they moved along at a slower pace. However, a flurry of tests near the end of 2022, think about what they're saying, a flurry of tests at the end of 2022. Project Hamilton, Max did an outline. The whole thing of Gilbert Verdian and the quant team with, for instance, what? The New York Federal Reserve did an outline. The whole thing with MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Max did an outline. Flurry of tests. Who did the flurry test? MIT, Quant, you name it, Digital Pound Foundation, so on. Near the end of 2022 suggests CBDC initiatives are doubling down as lawmakers strive for more control over the digital asset segment, and that is true. Thus, pays to take a closer look at CBDCs as their possible impact on digital sector users. But first, let's recap. What are CBDCs and why they're attracted to so much? Well, we know this stuff. But here is the icing on the cake for the guys that literally came into the comments trying to FUD Quant consistently. You know who they are. You recognize some of the names. I ain't going to give them the light of day to get their names announced here. But you know who they are. And if they're watching, you know who you are. Look who is specifically mentioned right here. You want your proof? Here's some of your particular proof. Thus, CBDCs present a segue into the domain of digital assets without giving up governmental control. The attraction for central banks also became quite clear as the digital sector grew to $3 trillion in 2021. And boy, who is listed here? Gilbert Verdian, founder and CEO of Quant, a London-based blockchain firm, has a different outlook, seeing CBDCs as a possibility rather than a threat. Outlined right there at the very top, flurry of tests at the end of 2022, did the outline, drew the Quant connection, Project Hamilton, you name it, and there's just more and more in regards to this. CBDC's development on a row in 2023. According to the online CBDC tracker, 119 countries are currently investigated investigating the subject, which makes 38 more than in early 2022, is increased. Out of the 119 countries, 11 have fully launched government-owned digital currencies. A little bit more in regards to this before we kick it into comments. Crypto-friendly Bahamas are in the lead, followed by neighbor islands that you see here and so forth. But one of the things I also want to point out was the whole thing in regards to Quant, and that is this, right? That is this. What they're doing with 3 key CBDCs, LAC chain for Latin America, on top of that, what they're doing with the digital pound. And when everybody thought that nothing was going to happen for Quant when it came to the United States, that particular connection. So there's the particular outline. I thought was massive.